Hi guys, and welcome to our third episode now of Ride of Your Life, which is with the amazing Duke of Blonde, otherwise known as Lily, and the amazing Ruby rides, and obviously that's Ruby. So we're here today, and I thought it'd be a really, really good topic to talk about getting into the bike world, what motivates people and who they're around, surrounding yourself with the right groups of people. And I saw that Ruby and Lily, they hang out a lot, even though they're not part of the same group. And I wanted to kind of evaluate on that and spread a bit more awareness in that kind of, that genre, I guess. It's the simplest way to put it, isn't it, really? So I don't know if you want to start and say just literally how you guys met and how the friendship budded together.
Well, we met on a slow boys ride out, actually. And we met at Riker's Caf and we stayed in touch since, really.
That's it. It wasn't actually that long ago, actually, that we met, but we have followed each other on social media for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And then we both happened to be on this ride. We went down to a local bike cafe in Surrey, and it just kind of, we stayed in touch and have hung out quite a lot since then.
Because from my understanding, and I haven't got the vastest understanding in the bike world, but the groups kind of, to my awareness, stayed with their own kind. I don't know if that's the best way to put it. Like groups stayed in their own circles. And it was really interesting because then I did think at one point that you were part of Slow Boys, and just was confused as to why you could medal and go into so many different areas.
So I'm not actually part of any groups as such, but I have a lot of friends that are in the Slow Boys, including Lily, including Sean, including others. And I guess, every time I've ridden with them, it's been great. So I'm happy to ride with them, but I'm not officially part of Slow Boys.
Is there a difference between being associated in a group, or like what would be the reason to be associated with a group or to be part of a group?
Officially, you can explain that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously part of Slow Boys. I'm sort of admin of the page, and I work a lot with Sean, who obviously founded it back in 2016. And I think being part of a group is really good if you're quite new to the bike scene, and you want to meet people, you want to have sort of a sense of community. I think a lot of people find that with the Slow Boys and potentially with other groups as well. It's the sort of the camaraderie and the sense of unity. You go to a bike stop and you see a couple of other people wearing the same hoodies, and it's sort of a talking point. It's an icebreaker, right? So I think that's a big plus for.
So how vast is the Slow Boys? Is it quite a vast?
Very big, yeah. It's very, very big. So we are totally international now. We have a huge family in the Netherlands, huge family in Belgium, Germany. We've got members in Australia, in the USA, in Mexico, Poland. So it's really, really taking off, which is really nice.
Yeah, probably the first bike group to go international.
Really?
That's British, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think
okay.
so, yeah.
Because they're all about inclusivity and whether it's gender, whether it's riding ability, whether it's CC of your bike, isn't it?
That's it, yeah. And actually the sort of the groups in Europe had a massive meet yesterday or the day before. So members from Belgium, members from the Netherlands, members from Germany, they all met up, and there was loads of them. It was so good to kind of see that everyone was kind of getting together like that.
Oh, wow, okay. Because like I said, when I started my bike journey, I wasn't sure who to gravitate towards, who to work with. And then obviously I slid into Ruby's DMs, and then I was still confused as to who do I ride with? Am I going to be associated with a group? Because I'm not sure if I want to be associated with a group. I don't know what that means to me just yet because I'm so new to this world. Sorry, I was about to cough. But I also just think the pros and cons of it. And the nice thing about what I've seen with Slow Boys is they don't kind of like hunt you down, try to keep you in, and they let you keep your identity, which is great.
Yeah. I think, I don't particularly have any experience with any of the groups. I've only been part of Slow Boys, but certainly the growth has all been totally organic, which I think is something that's quite, you don't often see that very much with sort of perhaps some bike groups, but it's literally just been through word of mouth, people seeing sort of people wearing the hoodie on rides and messaging the page and saying, you know, I've seen these guys, how do I get involved? And it's all been really organic, which I think is a really healthy way for you know, for a group to grow as well.
What do you think it means then for women or new riders, you know, new riders, women, men alike? Actually, I think I want to put that as anyone to be part of a group, or to what's the difference in your eyes? Because we've got you, Ruby, who's complete lone ranger. We've got Lily, who's, you're very committed to the Slow Boys. You do the admin, you do the page, so there's a heavy investment there on your half. And it's quite interesting that you guys are friends with like, you haven't gone and been like, you have to be part of Slow Boys. That it's quite interesting to know how that dynamic works.
Well, for me personally, I mean, Sean has given me the t-shirt and the hoodie, and I do wear them sometimes. I've just never been an official member, you know, I've never signed up, but because I'm really good friends with Sean and Lily, I just feel like, oh, well, I'm with them anyway. Like, I go on rides.
Anyway,
yeah, exactly. But maybe I do need to sign up officially. Maybe I do need to do that. But for me, to be honest, I think groups are important when you're starting up. Number one, say you've moved somewhere else where, like, you know, you don't know anyone. It's just a good way to get in touch with bikers and get involved in activities, charity things that they do. There's so much that they do. They're not just let's go and hoon around and cause chaos. Like, it's a community, and it's a good community. It's a positive community. You know, if you're starting up, if you're on a 125, if you're a woman, everyone's included, you know, and that's what I like about the Slow Boys.
So what would you say? Sorry, Lily, carry on.
No, I was just going to say as well, in terms of how does that work with sort of, you know, Ruby not being involved in a group and being so involved in a group. I think with the Slow Boys, it's not, you know, we don't kind of constrict people and say you can only hang out with other Slow Boys people. You know, you can't do anything else. I mean, I have a very large group of friends who are members of sort of a couple of other bike groups, a lot of girls that I kind of ride with on the weekends, and they're part of a couple of other bike groups, but, you know, we all kind of gel on really well together. We respect that each other are part of different groups, but we all have kind of a very similar thing in common. So it's really nice with us to kind of.
It's not so much. It's not like, you know, I'm a Gooner and you're a Spurs. It's not like that. No, you know, because we share the same passion.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, because with me, I'm still trying to get my head around it, because I know there's a lot of different groups. There's a lot of different things out there. All groups stand for something, similar things, different things. There's so much variety out there. And I get confused as to why I would be part of a group, as to why can't we just hang out just purely as friends. Why there are so many different groups created, because I get confused when I see that. Like, if you just ride together as friends, why have you labelled that as a group?
What do you think, Lily?
I just think it's a kind of a form of it's a way of identifying yourself in a way, perhaps. I mean, for me, when I started, I mean, when I first started my biking journey, I wasn't part of the Slow Boys kind of from the off. I rode by myself, and I, you know, sort of met people, and then eventually just through sort of meeting people at Ace Cap and at different bike cafes, I came into contact with Sean, and then, you know, sort of saw that the Slow Boys page, the things that they were promoting, and they were very, very positive and encouraging for kind of new riders and for women riders. And I thought, actually, that's a community that I'd really like to be a part of. And for me, I've kind of grown as a biker, and I guess as a sort of an individual. The Slow Boys has given me confidence to express myself as a biker, knowing that I have this amazing community behind me, and I've made some really good friends out of it. That's it. Yeah,
exactly. So that was just my one thing that clouded it for me, was just the level of confusion as to, like, I'm friends with you guys now. I wouldn't be like, yeah, we're the Ride of Your Life team. Like, I wouldn't know what that meant. And I often feel that when they do identify themselves, different groups identify themselves, I feel there's values that are set in those, like, oh, you can't hang around with these people, our values don't align. This,
whether they admit it or not, there is.
Yeah. And I kind of, I suppose, wanted to understand what diversifies the Slow Boys from that, because it's such a big community.
Yeah, it is now.
That the values of different people are also different, but they somehow gel together, and the initiation has worked in such a way that these people have a good camaraderie. A lot of the other groups are quite small, but it was just to understand, I suppose, what's a healthy group in your opinion? Obviously, this is all opinion based. What's the reason you would choose a group? What that means to you as a rider, and how that expands you as a person. It's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think about it. So I think, I mean, there are lots and lots of bike groups, right, at the end of the day. And I think there are, although we all, at the end of the day, we all do the same thing, right? We all ride bikes, but there are quite subtle differences. For example, there are groups that have a lot of stunt riders. There are groups that, you know, go on sort of cafe races or cruises. There are bikes, you know, there are groups that have a lot of sports bikes or a lot of, you know, naked bikes and kind of ride in a certain way, or people that go touring or whatever. So there are lots of subtle differences. And I think one part of identifying what group perhaps you want to be in is how you ride and what you ride, perhaps at the end of the day. I mean, maybe someone on a Harley may not choose the slow boys, because a lot of our bikes are sports bikes. I mean, we do actually have, you know, Harley riders in there as well, which I guess shows how kind of, you know,
inclusive.
open, yeah, exactly, and kind of open we are to sort of everyone who rides bikes at the end of the day. But I think in terms of slow boys, we have a very kind of clear ethos. You know, we ride because it's a passion and it's something that we all really enjoy doing. You know, we don't tolerate any form of kind of bullying or you know, kind of anything like that. I think on the page it says anti-bullying squad. We have the charity initiative as well going, and we just want to help people in their bike journey and help them meet people. And I mean, for me, that was a really positive kind of element why I chose to be part of it.
So if any people were interested, if any listeners were interested, how would they go about expressing their interest in learning more about slow boys and the journey with slow boys?
I guess the first kind of step would be to reach out to slow boys members. I mean, we're very, very kind of heavily social media based at the moment. There is a website, but it's very, very heavily on social media at the moment. So I guess would be the first thing to kind of reach out to members, reach out to Slow Boys team. There are kind of team members in Europe, there are team members in the UK, and just get talking. And, you know, I'm kind of constantly on the Slow Boys inbox answering DMs. So, you know, just we're very open to questions. We're very, very open to, you know, people messaging us and saying, you know, how does it work? What's this about? What do you guys do? More than happy to explain to anybody who's kind of interested. So, you know,
because I do see on every post I've ever seen about slow boys, it's very positive. There obviously is underlying politics, which I'm not going to go into anyway, but there's underlying politics in everything. But it was just always very interesting to see how you gave back to community, how you built on community, and how riding had brought people together. But then what really, like, I go back to that, astonished me was the camaraderie between you guys. And you're like, I'm associated with no one, Ruby. I just do my own thing. I'm friends with loads of different groups. And just how would that union have come about then? So you met each other at Rikers Cafe. You just had been following each other, hung out, or what was that? Because do you venture a lot outside of your own network, or is that just
I think so. Like we did a whole day together last Friday, didn't we? Yeah. We just stayed in touch, really, and
that's it. And I think you're kind of forced to, in a way, through social media, right? Because you follow people who have the same interests as you, and then, you know, you might get talking on DMs or whatever, or, you know, you sort of write the same posts, and eventually it might lead to a meeting. It doesn't matter if you're part of one group or another. I think then that's what happened with us, I think. And we just kind of I think
you'll find as well, even if someone is in a group and someone else is in a different group, and we have that with our lady friends that ride. So some of them are in different groups, but all the ladies, when they get together, there's so many groups. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because it's just such a vast community of just differentness. And I'm there like, okay, do I fit here? Do I fit there? Do I go to this cafe? Do I go to that cafe?
Exactly that. I think, if anything, with groups, generally, likes attract likes. The kind of bike that you have, the kind of riding that you do, you know, that would probably lead you to join a certain group where they're based as well. You know, there's some groups are based in the south or in the north. So I guess it just depends on the type of bike that you have, the way you ride, the connections that you have in your area, you know. So
interesting enough for me is, I would love to know have you experienced being in any groups? Did you get into any groups, come out of any groups?
To be fair, I've been approached to join groups. In the past, I have been. I don't know. I feel it's not even it's not even about, oh, I don't want to join a group. I've just never felt, I guess again, because I'm friends with the Slow Boys anyway, I've never felt the need to go and like join it officially. But I guess, you know, it's not that I think there's harm in doing that. But I don't know, I've seen negative things in some groups, and I think that puts me off a bit, because if I'm wearing a t-shirt that represents the group and then you hear this group has done this and all that, then you don't maybe want to be associated with that. I've just never felt the need as such, but I do think that if I was to say I am part of a group, like I would be happy to be part of Slow Boys, because I've seen what they do. And I've seen what they stand for.
I think it's a little bit different for you as well, Ruby, personally, because you have such a strong individual, like almost brand in a way. You know, you work on yourself, you work on your bikes, you work on sort of your relationship with people instead of like a group relationship, right? Yeah. So I think it's a little bit different when you have such a strong kind of self brand. Then, you know, I guess just sort of being friends with people in different groups it kind of works, right?
It does, yeah.
Because it doesn't kind of interrupt anything in terms of what you're doing for yourself and your sort of personal brand.
So you've been in the bike world now, how long, Ruby? You've been
7 years.
7 years. Because it's interesting to me that you, I keep saying that in this whole thing, it's interesting to me. So I feel like I'm learning as I'm going along. Because I have been approached by bike groups. I've been involved with one or two, and it was just the politically heavy side of things was very confusing to me, because it's hard enough learning about my bike as it is anything else. And all I want to know is I'm riding around people that will catch me when I fall, not literally, but catch me when I fall.
Well, yeah, sometimes right?
Be there for me when I need them. But I also feel in a group you can only learn so much, and you always grow and expand. So if you're growing and expanding, you need to find where you're going to fit next. Like if I'm riding with a bunch of people that are all on lower CC bikes, and then I suddenly want to get a high CC bike, I'm going to be wanting to learn from the people with the higher CC bikes.
Right. Yeah.
So I always thought, was it limiting? Did it express who I was? Because that's a touchy subject for me. I don't think anyone's cookie cutter. I don't feel that people are the same. I feel everyone's experiences are very different. But they come together on a value-based ethic where my values are this: I love sharing, I love helping people. That's something that really stood out to me with Slow Boys, was I saw that Sean did a lot with feeding the homeless, helping people. The anti-bullying thing was massive as well. Because I when I briefly spoke to Sean, I was like, that stuff is stuff I would enjoy doing, like off camera, privately, just for myself. So that ethically, but would I feel that I couldn't approach another group? Would that, because I do get scared when I see t-shirts and the t-shirts look the same. I'm thinking, oh, I'm not part of that. Like, do I get involved? Do I not? Now I know what Slow Boys is. It's quite exciting when I see that and how far it spans out. But how would that work for me in growth terms? What does that mean mentally for me? Because I know people can get very protective, like a football team. This is my group. This is my family. But how does that work in expansion terms?
Personally, as a person for you, it won't be limiting to that at all. Yeah, because you're going to get involved with everything that you stand for. And to be honest, like the first time I met you, I knew that you'd fit in the Slow Boys really well, because I got a vibe from you about what you stand for, what you like, what like when we spoke on the phone, I knew exactly the kind of person you are. And I know the Slow Boys, so I just always felt like you would fit in the Slow Boys really well.
All right, that's it, I'm sold. Where's my t-shirt? Where's the initiation form?
Just share the,
you
can sign up here.
This is not sponsored. No, do you know what? Finding a family, especially, I moved to London on my own when I was 18, wanted to move at 16. I'm so glad my mum didn't let me. Been a very different girl. But and I found the bike journey, and it was really tough. It was so tough not knowing who to ask, where to turn, what to do. And I always wanted to find a group of people. And it was different from finding an individual, because I felt there was more trust in a group than there was in an individual.
Mm-hmm.
But then which group did I trust?
Mm-hmm.
Because where was I gravitated towards?
Mm-hmm.
And then were they going to keep me in? Was
Mhm.
this initiation going to involve a sacrifice? Like,
Yeah.
what was it going to involve from me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it easy to get away from? Am I completely tied into this? Like, I had to think of all the things around it. And that's why I completely just reached out to you, watched a few people. I actually have seen, like, Lily's page, Duke of Blonde. When I saw it, I was like, oh, yeah, I've just nosied on all these pages. But again, I reached out to you, Ruby, on the basis of ethnicity and something that vibed with me, and I just thought, would I be included? The picture that was painted of biker women is that they're not inclusive, or the biker world's not inclusive. Completely the opposite. At times it's sometimes too inclusive, it's that everyone's involved, and you know, sometimes there needs to be a little bit of a teeter where we have to think of our health, our wellness, our abilities, not being flashy, because that's what another thing I notice is that you guys, you're friends on a level where you enjoy the riding world. You're not competitive. You don't.
No.
You're not reckless.
There's no ego with us.
No,
with
there's
girls,
not.
there's no ego. There's
Yeah,
no
yeah, no, I
pride.
agree.
Like, it's, you know,
No, it's
not a competition.
yeah. I think it's very rare to find a group of girls that ride together that ride with their ego, because it just, I don't know, it just doesn't happen.
We're competitive in the sense that we like to go for a blast. Yeah, we're not Miss Daisy.
No.
Yeah? Or Mr. Daisy.
Yeah.
But it's healthy competition. Like my friend Claudia, for example, when we go on track, healthy competition on the track. Yeah,
Like when
she'll
you're playing a
overtake me,
game.
I'll undertake her, and then we'll come back and we'll have a laugh.
It's kind of competition in a way that you kind of push each other, but it's in an encouraging way. It's not like, you know, I feel the need to overtake you and prove that I'm faster than you so that I can prove that I have a faster bike or I'm a better rider. It's, you know, okay, you know, like you and Claudia on track, you know, okay, I'm going to take you. All right, well, I'm going to take you back. And it's like a kind of it's
healthy.
It's like banter, right?
Healthy.
Yeah.
I actually got
It's healthy
faster since riding track with Claudia, because she's quick.
Right.
You know,
It's the energy. I've so fed into the energy, and it's what's made doing this whole process so much easier, and it's the learning process, absolutely, which, you know, the groups, all of this stuff, there's so many elements to riding as it is, but then, like, Ruby saw my bike and she was like, oh my God, I love it. And it was just like me getting excited all over again. I was like, ooh, what do I have? I want to get on it. I want to do something. But it was just healthy, and it was just happy. And noticing that, and that you're not egotistical over your bikes. Yeah, sit on it, try it, turn the key, have a go, like, see what it's like. And it's that kind of behavior, which if I'm obviously not part of the Slow Boys, I don't still know that much around it, still getting my head around what it is. But if that is a network of healthy family growing,
Absolutely,
that is something I wanted to share out there and put out there and be like, okay, so if you're a new rider and you're on your own on this journey, maybe reach out here, maybe look into this. But if you're not even wanting to do that, you can still be like Ruby and reach out to groups and be involved with them. Because that's another thing. What would you say is the most positive thing about knowing groups but not being part of groups? And what is something that you would watch out for and you would say to, like, a younger version of yourself to help them align with just the riding journey?
Yeah, that's a
minus the
good question. Because the best thing about knowing the Slow Boys, I don't know any other groups, by the way. This is pretty much, apart from my girly group, I call it. But we're not an official group, are we?
No.
But the best thing about it is that I get to, first of all, the few times I've ridden with Slow Boys, the rides have been amazing. You know, fast enough for me, but not overly, not reckless. And I have way back in time, like, I rode with other groups, and, you know, you feel, sometimes you feel unsafe. So Slow Boys is, from my experience, I've found that they're the most balanced. Fast riders, for medium riders, for slow, they're so organised, right? They're so organised. That's the best thing.
So following on from that, it would be really interesting to know when you said who makes you feel safe. What makes you feel unsafe with a group? What would that entail?
Well, things like, I don't know, going, like, especially when you're starting up, like when you're new and when you're riding in a group, it's very intimidating, the fact that you're riding in a group to start with, right? So that's number one. Number two, if you're starting up and you're still building your confidence, if they're going too fast, if they're doing crazy stuff, if they're getting too close. I'm talking about when you're a newcomer. All these things make such a difference when you first start. Like, they're so intimidating if someone's riding too close or recklessly. And there's been so many incidents.
That's why I haven't group ridden yet, because
it's not a smart thing to do when you're first starting up.
I'm thinking first I want to get used to my speed, my agility, because you ride closer together, you filter closer together, you know, you shouldn't, but it's just like kids in a classroom, you look at each other, and I need to keep my focus ahead of me, and that's why I haven't chosen to group ride, because I don't feel safe. Good,
exactly. And always follow your instinct, like your gut feeling about if you prefer groups or non-groups. I mean, if you're just, like I said to you, the best thing that you can do is ride on your own as much as possible, or with someone that you trust, right? That's it, as much as you can. And then suddenly you'll find yourself fine in groups, in more than one or two people. You'll find yourself feeling more confident. But definitely I've found from my experience with groups in the past, sometimes I'd come home and honestly I'd ask myself, how am I still alive? Because of how the ride was. And you end up trying to naturally you end up and subconsciously end up trying to prove that you can still ride as fast as them,
and
then that's when it gets dangerous.
Over,
there you go.
Everything, because what does it mean to you? Because I know you're in quite a, I'd say, prestigious position, because you do the admin and you have quite a loud voice in the slow boys. So what does like safety mean to you as
I mean, it's absolutely key. I mean, you know, if you don't take into consideration safety on group rides, then, you know, there's literally no point in doing them. And I think I think we all feel the same. I mean, even though I'm part of Slow Boys, you know, I'm not massively a huge fan of actually riding out in a big group. You know, I have my, you know, a couple of groups of close friends who you can look in your mirror and you know exactly where they are on the road. You know exactly how they're going to react. If you move over here, they're going to move over there. You know, you just know, right? There are people that you ride with quite regularly that you know how they ride.
Seasoned riders.
Exactly. But I think in terms of safety, I mean, I think the one piece of advice I was given when I first started out was, it doesn't matter who you're with, what you ride, but you ride at your own pace. And if there are people in groups that want to, you know, go ahead and ride really, really quickly, that's fine. You let them do that. If you're with a group of people that don't ride with their egos and actually are there for the group ride, then they may go, you know, way out in front of you, but at the end of the day they'll wait for you to catch up, you know.
I think it's finding that balance.
It is, totally.
And slow boys have that balance, because when we went to that ride, they kept waiting for the slower ones, but then, you know, we were going fast and then we kept so it works really well with the slow boys. They're very organized, but it's worth mentioning as well, I feel like people who get into riding, they're new to it, it's important for that reason, for the safety reason, it's important to associate or join the right group, isn't it? Because the last thing you want is for something like that to put you off completely. And I think that's something that slow boys do attract people who want to be safe as well.
I think that's why, like, there's plenty of reasons why I've ridden alone and I haven't gone for a group. One of them was, I felt that people were telling me how easy it was to die. I'm like very aware of it. Right. Like, I know it's there. There's a, like, even when I did my CBT, if you fall, you will die. It takes 3 seconds before all your skin is. And I'm just sat there thinking, dun dun dun, because no one's with you on the bike. You learn on the bike on your own. You're responsible for yourself at all times, from beginning to whenever you stop.
I'm sorry, but if you cross the road, you might die. Like, what kind of thing? Why would you say that to
I'm
someone
really
who's starting up?
that.
It's the pressure that's put on you, and even
there's a lot of pressure when you're starting up because you're vulnerable. You don't have the knowledge.
But you know, when someone's watching, say, I always put this analogy. Say if you're trying to impress someone and you're trying to walk really nicely, 100% of the time I will stack. So it's one of those analogies for me. If I'm trying to impress or prove to a group of people I'm fine,
this is
feeling eyes on me. I don't know how. Like today, I felt so relaxed to like maneuver my bike around, do whatever I needed to do. And I had Nathan, my partner, turned around and said to me, I completely got into like the whole conversation flow there for a second. But he turned around and said to me, you did it yourself. Like, you were fine. But as soon as someone's like, be careful, do this, I'm thinking I cannot even go down the road. What if I don't remember the road signs? What if this happens? What if that happens? What if a lorry comes and sucks me underneath? Like, it just, Final Destination, your mind goes mental.
Plays on your mind, doesn't it? Yeah.
And finding like the right group, I wouldn't class you as a group, but I class you as friends that I gravitate towards as examples of what I would like to become. And I think to myself, okay, that's healthy. Take it one step at a time.
Absolutely.
Take it one day at a time.
Take it as much time as you need. What's the rush?
When you guys say that to me, and like Lily, you've been riding 4 years. Ruby about 7. You're like, I learnt around the same time as you. Oh, yeah, I've been riding 4 years. I'm thinking, oh my god, okay, this is not as daunting as it's being made out to be.
No. And you know what, Sally? It's probably, you know what? Do you know how many times I've dropped a 125 and crashed it?
How many times I dropped my 09? Like it happens.
It's not if it's going to happen. It's when. You need to accept that it's two wheels. Yeah, it's not balanced.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know racers who've dropped their bikes. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's just, I suppose, the shame that you get painted with from people.
Yeah. Then I think if you're feeling that, then you're hanging around with
the wrong people.
That is the wrong crowd for you, because it doesn't matter what you do. If it's biking, if it's sport, if it's martial arts, if it's just a group of friends, like we have our girl group of friends. Yeah. If you don't feel encouraged and supported by that group of friends, whether it be a specific bike group, whether it be just people who you hang out with, then they are the wrong people. Yeah. And I think it comes down to the fact that in biking, you shouldn't have anything to prove. You're already on a bike. You've already had the confidence to, and especially as a female in the biking community, I think you've already had the confidence and taken the leap to get on those two wheels in the first place. Yeah. If you drop it, so what? So does everyone else. As you said, so do racers, so do seasoned bikers. You just don't have anything to prove to anybody. I feel
that even in the social media world, massively in the social media world, from being part of the group I was part of, there is so much push to prove something, that
judgment.
Prove something. And I was being advised to post about gear before I had my bike, and I was being advised to show how to do stuff when I didn't know fully myself. And I hated that, because I thought, if I am ever responsible, knowingly or unknowingly, for somebody doing the wrong thing, I would hate that. I think you can only learn from experience and who you surround yourself with. I've learned so much about gear by just talking to Ruby and knowing that I trust her opinion. I'm in the same. I come home and I'm like, sold. And I'm thinking, where's my size? And and I'm enjoying it. I'm not thinking, oh, is that right? Is this right? And I feel like I'm very capable of now reaching out to people and being, do I do this? Is this safe for me? Does this fit my body type? Does this fit my, my personality type? Is this ride a hard ride to do?
I do have to say, though, I think it's a very personal experience, though. So, yes, I also listen to Ruby's IGTV videos, etc. And I mean, I bought my Oxford Beckley jacket because I saw it on your page. They're really good. But, there are some things that Ruby tries, etc., that don't work for me. Yeah. For example, I do not fit in Dionysus suits. Like, they just don't suit my body shape.
Because you're taller than me.
Because I'm tall, and I have really weird sizing, but they just don't fit.
You're very elegant.
So, she's elegant. I'm not sure.
When I met her in person, I was like, wow, she's elegant.
But you have to have you have to know your own mind, and you have to know your own bike, and you have to know your own style of riding as well.
Exactly,
that was something I knew from the get-go. So when I chose my bike, I knew for a fact the Yamaha was right for me. I knew that it felt right, and the group that I was working with, they had said they were going to sponsor the journey, and they got me a Honda, and I hadn't ridden a Honda before. I hadn't learnt on a Honda, but I said to them, what's the logic? If I've learnt on a Yamaha, if I'm happy with the Yamaha, I'm comfortable creating on it, why would I then go for plan B if that's not where I'm comfortable? I do want to learn, obviously, to ride other bikes, but mentally, I think it's
when you first starting up, you want to stick to what you know.
It's a mental journey. Like, it could be no different. When I learnt, when I did my CBT and all of that, I was obviously on different bikes, but I always had in my mind, I know my way around the body of Miami. And it's just knowing what suits you, and the amount of people that were just like, no, don't do it, do this, and I was just like, I'm going to do what feels right to me.
Exactly.
I know what colour I want, I know what shape I want, I know what jackets feel good for me.
It's so important. And also I think with social media, there are lots of people who are willing to offer advice, one, without us asking for it. you know, right? And two, you know, they're very well, I mean, I guess it's just one point. They're very willing to give you advice on things that suit them. When
advice is good if you're not ramming it down people's throats.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like a lot of people will give advice to feel superior, like especially to us girls,
to prove they know more.
You know, men will give you advice about the kind of oil that your bike needs. Honey, I've had my bike 5 years. I think I know.
And you didn't even put up a video about oil. You put it up about something else. And it's like, oh, you should use this. And it's like,
when you got your...
I didn't ask for it, though.
You got your Super Duke. As soon as she announced she got Super Duke, a guy was like, yeah, I'm going to pass you on my bike past the petrol station. You're going to be standstill and I'm going to pass you fast.
What? But that's that's the toxic
masculinity.
Not even toxic, because women do it too. I've said in like a few things, women are
not as much as men.
No, they don't. There's not as much.
Really,
100%.
It's not in the same way. I don't think
it's not even.
Sometimes it does happen, but rarely in the bike scene. I find.
But that's the majority. That's daunting in a group. Like
the majority,
a lot of groups are male orientated, and the ones that aren't, they over sexualize women to a degree that's unnecessary. I love fashion. I love doing what I want to do. I love portraying fashion.
Fashion isn't sexualizing a serious biker.
And I also think there's a degree of like, I've started to put at the bottom of my pictures, if I'm wearing heels, this is not how I ride. This
because
is
you'll
get
get
a fashion thing. Because people are ridiculous. They'll message me and be like, oh, I wish I you know, do you ride in those? It's like, no, I actually walk around. My biker boots are in my bag. Like it's fine. You know, this is a lifestyle, but we've got to show what we would, you know, an image that we paint. That's what social media is. It's the image we paint. And there's different levels of, it's not the truth, but of what you portray. And you have to over exaggerate that. You know, you don't just say I'm shocked with a straight face. You say I'm shocked with the expression. And you have to do that with, I like fashion. You have to show that. But with groups and the idea behind groups, being a female, when I was single and approaching this, I felt really alone and very icky at times, because I felt I did struggle a lot emotionally. I'm lucky I have my best friend.
I wish I knew you then, you know that.
Well, I had reached out to you. I just didn't know, because again, how images were being painted of people, where to turn. Is that going to be right, or is this woman going to lead me down an alleyway where I'm quite vulnerable? I'd just come out of a really weird situation in my life, and I'm lucky I had a male friend who would see that I was being torn down and being exposed in a way that was really detrimental to my mental health, because it made me feel like I was very inauthentic and dishonest. So I had to take myself away from that group. You know, they fit their model for themselves, but I didn't want to be a tool or a flagpole in the wind where, you know, oh, look at us, we've got this. I wanted to actually enjoy what I did. And
be supported for it.
Be
like
good at it.
You know, you're a biker. You want to be appreciated, you know, as well as all the other facets that you've got, you know, with the fashion and with everything. You want to be respected. And
regardless,
for being a
regardless of your CC, regardless of how much or little experience, the fact that you have decided to get into the sport, like, you are just automatically a biker. And no one can dictate what you do or how you do things because you're not, you know, on a 600 or, do you know what I mean? Because I can imagine bikers can be like that, judgmental.
Well, I rode a 600. And I felt confident on it, but it was the way that I was being told to ride it. I felt really like, should I not be confident? There's a difference between confident and cocky. I completely appreciate that, and I might have gone and ventured towards cocky at some points, but I felt safe. I was in a car park. But I was riding around on the 600 well before I'd got into this properly. And And it was just, there was a difference between how I was doing it, how I was experiencing it, but the way they made me feel.
Yeah.
I kept dumbing myself down, feeling like, oh, maybe I am a girl, maybe this isn't right for me.
Worst thing you can do.
Yeah, no.
But because I never thought the community of women was A, this welcoming, B, like, I thought groups were something that, you know, I didn't fit into groups in school, so why am I going to fit into a group in real life? But I did flow with groups. So there was groups in school where I did go in and sit with the gamers and do this, and then I'd go in with the art people and
dabbing
do that.
in everything.
Yeah, I was jack of all trades in school, and I felt the same as growing up. There's so many people in so many groups I get on with, but does that mean I tie myself down? What does that mean? I mean, there's only one group in school that I was friends with at one point, and I felt like it was like a clan. And oh, you can't talk to this person, you can't talk to that person.
Slow boys isn't like that.
No, and I think it's very important to kind of say that, because yes, it's a group. Okay, yes, you know, it is a group at the end of the day, but it's more of a community. You know, we're not. I mean, just in terms of my personal experience, I don't feel restricted by being slow boys. I can still be me and do whatever, you know, my stuff, hang out with my friends.
You're not defined by them.
I'm not defined by the slow boys. Yes, it is a you know, a very big part of my sort of bike experience and my bike journey in whatever. And but I choose that. I don't feel restricted by being in that group.
No one does in slow boys. To be fair.
It's
no,
not
totally.
It's not. It doesn't define you.
No.
It's part of what you enjoy doing, but doesn't define you. I think that's very important.
It's still. I still feel like I have my individuality.
100%.
Whilst being a big part of the slow boys, and I choose to show that individuality sometimes with the slow boys. You know, I kind of, you know, be it in conjunction. It is part of who I am and how I have become as a biker. Absolutely, but it's because I've wanted it. It hasn't been because it's been like forced on me or I've been dictated to. Not at all. It's
become a passion, and like you choose to go on your bike daily because you're passionate about it.
Yeah,
and there's distinguishing that, and you know, I'm really grateful that I've got a podcast to, you know, explore these areas, because going out there and asking the same trivial questions over and over again, like, what is a group? What defines this group and that group? Who do I ride with? What's the safe ride? Because my partner, I'm very lucky that I've got a partner that's in the same interest as me. But he says, like, he's very particular on who he rides with and why he rides with them, because, you know, it could cost you your life. And again, like, as much as I don't want that drilled down me, it's riding mindfully, respectfully, and knowing your capabilities. If you want to learn something and someone else can do it, express that to them. Be like, I really want to learn to get my knee down. You don't learn it first time on the road. You're like, you go somewhere, you learn that in the right environment. And it's having that respect that women are no less capable than men at getting a knee down and you know, doing X, Y, Z. I
learned how to get my knee down on a roundabout, actually.
Did you?
Yeah, which was the wrong thing to do, and I actually wouldn't recommend it. But again, it was that pressure. I first got my 5-blade, and it was that pressure that everyone was doing it, and I was like, I need to do it now. Because
you get a lot of grief. Like, I've spoken to you about that, where you get some of the most ridiculous comments that, you know, there've been a lot of hot topics in the podcast that I've done. I'm just shocked at the level of comments that she gets, and I get one or two stupid messages, and I can't even function when I get them. And I think to myself, that pressure would possibly cause me to be reckless, because I do feel like, oh, I've got to prove this. And then would that be even more unhealthy around a group? Would that be even more unhealthy? Because my partner, he's great on a bike. He's ridden my bike, and I've been like, it's great because people won't know that that's you, and you look like a filtering genius. And you just like overtook everyone on their thousands and everything down the road, and it just sounds like, it just looks like me. Just, you know, stick some extensions underneath and make it look like me. But it's that pressure of, you know, I don't know why bikes has become such a not become, because I've just got into this, I can't say it's become for me, why it has the image of so much ego, just painted in ego.
And that causes a lot of bad things that give bikers a bad name. And I guess that's, to answer the question you asked me earlier, that's probably one of the reasons why I haven't joined groups, because I just feel like, you know what, a lot of negativity comes out of the groups that doesn't really make bikers look good. Do you know what I mean? Like when you think of groups, apart from slow boys, you think, like chaos, like police, politics, negative. What were you going to say?
For me, I think the pressure has come from how much the bike community has grown on social media. I think social media, I have a massive love-hate relationship with social media because I do think it puts a lot of pressure on you to try and be something that, you know, perhaps
because what gets shared.
Because of what gets shared, and it's I don't.
I'd
really, yeah.
A lot of the stuff of women that get shared is, I have to say, very. I mean, good on them that they can do what they can do, and they're comfortable riding in a bikini and doing a wheelie and riding backwards or whatever they're doing. Great on them. I'm really proud that they can do that. But also that shouldn't take away the respect of women that just ride for the sake of riding.
But to be fair, the majority of the female bikers in the UK,
they're very, very different. Yeah, there's a different kind of
we gear
community.
up, don't we? The majority.
But then also, who's to say? Like, I feel that's why I liked Ruby and the women I've met. But who's to say these women? Because I know I post, and I post stuff that if someone looked at me, they'd think, oh, she rides like that, really, with her neon yellow heels.
But that's just social media. That it's a complete lack of common sense. You know,
I want to share more of just women that look nice in their gear. I do want to get to that level. I haven't got that much gear yet because it does cost a bomb.
Yeah.
But the more I'm getting my gear, like I always am in my bike boots.
Yeah.
I'm breaking them in. I'm in all my shots with my bike boots. I take my heels with me in my bag. So I'm like, I'm going to get some good shots with this outfit.
But this is the thing, and this is what, you know, people who leave those comments about, you know, oh, why are you riding in heels, or people that judge you for, you know, having a tank top on or a bikini top if you're so, if you know, if that's how you want to take pictures, you know, okay, yes, I'm wearing a bikini top, but you don't see that I've got my jacket and my helmet and everything on the floor like it's a photo shoot. I am stationary on a bike. I clearly
it's
I'm
not a rolling
riding
shot.
in this.
Let me ask you a question. Let's reverse it. Do us girls ever comment under men's page, topless man posing next to his bike? Do we say, oh my God, how can you ride like this? Go gear up. No, because we have brains. We have brains that say, you know what, he's doing it for the gram.
It's a photo shoot.
And what? Shoot me.
Yeah.
Shoot me.
Fine.
Yeah. I personally, obviously, encourage gearing up on a bike, but I'm not going to bully someone that chooses not to.
Yeah.
How is that my business? And I find it so sexist, extremely sexist, when I feel like some men, like, struggle to understand and accept that women can look feminine and ride a bike well. Yeah, I don't have to be in like baggy clothes. I can look nice, presentable, decent, protected, and I can ride a bike.
I've had
so damn well.
This conversation with even my friends in my life. I've said, when you teach me through a loving lens of, I want to advise you from what I know, pick and choose what's good for you, and I'm here for you otherwise. I learn so much more. I'm so much more inclined to want to know more. Where, for example, have you tried this jacket? It fits so much more comfortably. Have you tried doing this? It's so much more fun. You know, take care out there. You know, it'd be lovely to go for a ride together. You know, teaching from a place of love and instead of ridicule and embarrassment and shaming.
Yeah.
People who do that want to feel better about themselves.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Good people don't do that. You know, I've met, semi-professional racers, BSB racers, and they are the most positive people when you talk to them about track and cornering, getting kneed out. They're the most encouraging because they've got nothing to prove. They feel good about themselves. You know, they're champions.
Yeah.
But people who, and I've been told, I'm sure you've been told, given a piece of advice to do stuff, and then you ride with them and you're like, geezer, like, is that how you ride? Bloody hell, what was I listening to you for?
I went back. I know we spoke about this in our podcast, me and you, Ruby. But there was one comment I did read because I'm a comment lurker. I like to look at what people say about things.
Yeah.
To learn for myself. Opinions on gear, whatever. I find I learn a lot in comments. And someone, literally, there was a video. I think it was about a year or 2 years ago. You pulling out of Ace Cafe. Just pulling out.
Who?
Just you.
Me.
This was like 2 years ago or something like that.
Interesting.
And someone wrote, this was the all gear, no idea. And I just thought, why? You know, you've seen literally a minute.
Yeah.
A minute.
And if I didn't have the gear, they'd moan about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is nothing that
I'd love
doesn't
to
get
take
moaned
people.
about.
I'd love to take those people on track and show them the no idea.
But there you go. Do you see where that comes into? You feel you need to prove to these people that it's just a ridiculousness of, you know, that's what confuses me with, you know, getting into groups. Is it just more of that energy of,
depends on the group.
Exactly.
Absolutely. If that's how you're feeling by being part of a group, then, I mean, for me, that wouldn't be the right group for me at all. Yeah. And I would disassociate.
But knowing to yourself, because I think we're all pretty strong women here. I was not a strong woman about a year ago, I have to say.
Have bikes helped?
No, massively, because I had to make decisions for myself. Because that is the whole point of a bike. You can have a pillion seat, but you've got no one in front of you otherwise.
That's it.
There's no...
I like that analogy,
Yeah, there's no there's no when you're learning to drive your car, like... They've got the controls too. If something goes wrong, they can pull the handbrake. There's none of that.
It's all on you. Yeah.
And I had to literally make decisions. Like, you know, I was really down before I set up the podcast. I cried a lot. And I'm lucky I've got the friends and the partner I have, because, I had to make decisions that really... Sorry, I was really excited. Yes. I had to make decisions that really I felt were scary. Like separate myself from the group I was part of,
and that's hard.
Feeling alone, feeling replaced.
Yeah.
I can happily say, I can successfully say I came out of a very depressive state.
Yeah.
By just choosing to share the journey with people, because I felt as soon as I get on the road on my own, I'm going to die. Yeah. I felt the first time I rode a bike.
I think that's it's so
unbelievable.
toxic.
I felt I was worse than my business partner on a bike, even though he'd never touched a bike and I had been riding around just because he was a guy.
Yeah. But what I still feel like this sport needs to tackle the fact that femininity doesn't clash with riding a bike. Such a backwards way to think, and I can't believe that people still think like that, because people do still think like that. And you know what? I could chop my hair off and dress like a bloke to prove and people probably perceive me as more of a serious rider, but I love wearing my makeup and I love wearing nice clothes that fit well.
You'd still get that.
Do you know what I mean?
That stereotype.
You would, yeah. You can't do anything without somebody saying something about something
and putting you in a box.
And putting you in a box.
And I know a racer, sorry to interrupt, but I just remembered quickly, I know a car racer quite high up. She said to me, in this sport, you have to act like a boy to be taken seriously.
That's really sad.
You can't be your feminine self, normal girl, makeup, whatever. There's that pressure to try and, you know, man up. Yeah. And, you know, if we talk about like a feminine industry, makeup and beauty, the top 5 are men. Yeah, do we ever abuse them for being men? Do we ever say you have to be feminine for you to fit in?
I don't know what there is to prove and why we have to keep trying to prove it, because we don't know what we're proving, but we're trying to prove it. Yeah. Then we're in a position where we're exhausted because mentally it's draining, and then you still haven't proven your point, because you can never prove your point, because
they carry on with the comments, with
it's their view on life.
Exactly.
It's as simple as that. It's their view on life, and that alienates a lot of women, young riders, new riders.
Yes, I think it does.
100%.
Yeah.
I box them together because women get it at any stage of the game. Sadly, at the moment, it is what it is. And new riders do. They feel they need to progress so quickly, even when they're not ready, even when they're not capable. Yeah. And that it's just a vehicle. Yeah.
You know, yeah.
It's so simply put. It's
Take
just
your
a
time.
vehicle.
Exactly.
And it's just something that is an add-on to your life. It doesn't define you. Yeah. Your bike doesn't define you. Your capabilities on a bike do not define you. You get good at something because you enjoy it. And when you're learning who to surround yourself with, do it from a position of, I like these people, I trust these people, they value my life just as I value theirs.
Exactly that. Exactly. Because at the end of the day, you know, those people are probably going to be your friends at the end of the day, you know, and they're friends before their
biker buddies.
You know, because hopefully they should care about you as you should care about them.
And that's how you should choose a group.
Yeah.
That's how you should choose a group.
Exactly.
But also, if we reverse the role in a way where, like, in the female world, the beauty and the makeup industry, the top bloggers are male, and they don't get harassed like girls do in terms of like pressure on them to prove something, or we take them just as seriously, probably more than the female.
We do hail
beauty.
them like I completely
Like
trust a guy that can do makeup, because I'm like, you know it from an angle that is so, because
Exactly.
they do, you meticulously learn the details. I've just signed up, I've just got a subscription done for me for bike magazines, because I want to learn
Yeah.
my stuff for me.
Yeah.
Like if someone does give their opinion to me, I want to be able to be like, actually I've tried that. Actually I've heard this, this and this, instead of, oh, okay, that's really good. Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
But equally, I shouldn't need to know how to I shouldn't have to know to be accepted how to pull my bike apart and put it back together.
Absolutely not.
It's a
No.
plus.
No,
Absolutely not. Like, even again, top racers don't know much about mechanics.
I'm not mechanical at all.
Because
Like-
a lot of, I think Ruby's the most mechanical person I've ever
Really?
Yeah, for in female world, like she's like, oh, and this and this, and I'm thinking, here's my partner. You can talk to
Knowledge
him.
wise.
It's, yeah,
but
it's
not
different,
hands-on.
It's different.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can barely
yeah.
like tighten my chain.
But
That's
even
it.
knowing, that's
Knowing,
a
yeah.
level of still, you know.
I like to know. I like
Yeah.
to know because I want to know what's being done to my bike. And again, you know, if someone wants to give me free advice, I want to be able to have a
Yeah.
good discussion about it.
I love my free advice, but you can totally tell where it's coming from.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference, because you guys give me advice all the live long day. My partner gives me advice. My best friend gives me advice, and you can tell where it's coming from. But there's that snarkiness of, you know, oh, ha, 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 you know, kind of almost like they feel that there's a group of people that feel you plague an industry by just being born female.
Wow.
And I felt that heavily. I didn't want to believe, and my mum's she's like, oh, these things don't exist, they only exist in your mind when it comes to certain things. But I also do, from experience now, and from even some of the comments, for example, you know, oh, you girls are out, you should have invited me and I would have got my heels out. I just feel like, is that needed? Is that necessary?
That's a not a great comment at all.
Because I just feel like,
Because if you see guys going out on the bike, you don't say, oh, you should have, like, I don't know, you should have let me know and I would have brought my, I don't know, like football with me.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
When you reverse what they say, it's
It's
hilarious.
ridiculous. But
It's
it's so
hilarious.
it comes. I think it's so easy to say for a lot of people, and why is that? That's sad because it's
Yeah.
been so.
We were saying that
entrenched.
earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
Why
We were
is
saying
it
when we were
easy for
eating.
them?
Why is it easy just to drop a comment like that?
because
and not,
also a
not
lot
to
of
think
people
about
don't
it?
say anything back. I know that I'm, for one, have
Right.
ignored a lot of them.
I do.
Or
Yes.
Ruby
like
definitely goes in on people. I've read some of them, and she's gone in all the details of things, and I'm just
Yeah. Like the guy who's teaching me about the H2, but then he doesn't know that I literally know everything about the H2.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then it's also the way you came back at him. Sometimes I feel I don't even have the energy to do that, because there was one guy, I was wearing a helmet, and he said, but which side are the gears on? And I was like, what?
That's
like, why?
That's a sexist, scummy comment.
And
that is.
then I did reply to him. It took me a whole day to think of a reply. And I was just like, can't remember what I said, but he ended up messaging me, and I was like, I actually really want to get the Ducati Monster, and I love the Aprilia, I love this, and I was learning about a lot of things, and reverse gears on a bike, why you would do that, all of these things, and he was Surprised that I had this knowledge. But it's also just like, why are you surprised?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you
Yeah.
ride this bike
Yeah.
well for a girl. Remember
For
last
a
time we
girl.
met at that car
Just
meet?
stop. Stop at, you ride this bike well. Not
Well,
for a
Yeah.
girl.
exactly.
Yeah.
He said to you,
I had it. Yeah, when we pulled into the petrol station to meet you and Sean, I was paying for my fuel, and there was a guy there, and he just said, you know, oh, you ride that really well for a girl, and it's like, well, you know, why do you have to add that last bit onto
imagine
it?
me saying to Nathan or someone, oh, you ride your bike well for a bloke. What's my genitalia has got anything to do with riding a bike?
Yeah.
I'd love for someone to answer me that, because I don't know the answer, and
I
I'd love.
just think it's, when you go to a group of people, you think, oh, it's really good. I do believe there is always not sexism, but you do differentiate by gender. Like, I gravitate towards you because you're women, not because you're men. But equally, I do gravitate towards loads of men, but I don't feel they fully understand my journey.
Exactly, you can relate. That's
Yeah.
different. You can relate to a certain gender more.
But then when it came to finding a group, associating with a group, it was very difficult for me to, you know, I did want to promote that women look nice and women are attractive and in their own right, not purely visual. I don't, because I have this strong belief that, you know, I didn't get into modelling because I thought I looked nice. Actually, it was completely the opposite. I got into modelling because my favourite movie was Lord of the Rings, and I thought if there's room for orcs, why isn't there room for me? So because growing up, a lot of people know that I wasn't in modelling. I wasn't in this world at all. I used to like riding my BMX with my brother. I was terrible at like doing the jumps and stuff, but that was my thing. And people that know me know I like to learn skateboarding, skiing, snowboarding, whatever it is. I'm all down to I'm quite gruff in that sense. But then also appreciating when I did lose weight and get older, and in my culture, it was never taught that you should look nice. You should not be seen, heard, all of that. Came from a very strict culture. So it was identifying with my femininity, which I only kind of did in my mid-20s. I never wore short arms. I never wore short trousers. It was a massive thing for me. So I gravitated towards Ruby because I was like, you know what, she screams modesty to me, but she does what she wants and she looks nice doing it.
Yeah.
So I gravitated towards that. And then I gravitated towards more and more women thinking, you know what, they might even be in bikinis and whatever they're doing, but their aura screams modesty. I know what I'm doing, direction. I'm happy with me. And I think that screams so much to an image because you can tell a lot from an image of someone and what their call to action is. Do I want attention? Do I want to be exposed? Do I want X, Y, Z?
Yeah.
I believe heavily in energy, but when in the bike world, they were not giving me the understanding when I was in a group that I didn't want to expose myself for a man's approval.
Yeah.
I wanted to
Why
wear
would
shorts
you?
because
Why
I
would you?
liked the shape.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For you.
And
And at the end of the day, we're like biking for women is very empowering. Why would you start
Absolutely.
stripping?
but
to
equally,
please-
the crazy thing about that, I was told that I shouldn't get into a relationship. I'd been single for a very long time, but I shouldn't get into a relationship because they will associate my riding ability with my partner, and that, you know, single women that do this will be seen as stronger and more capable than being associated. Because I kept the fact that I was in a relationship very quiet, and I still do, because I don't want people to paint me with his lens of, oh, he knew what he was doing, he got you everything, he sorted it all out. Because I'm there learning,
Yeah.
and I don't want
And
to be
what
painted
if
with
he did?
that.
Why is your relationship anyone's business?
Yeah.
Is another
Oh
question.
yes, yeah.
Why is there so much expectation and judgment on a woman? That's what, because you don't see that with men.
No.
You know, no one will judge whether a man is single, married, divorced.
No.
It's never the case.
I actually have a very, very good friend who I met through social media who also rides, and she has people in her DMs constantly assuming that her partner buys her bike and her car and whatever, and she, you know, that there's nothing about her or her page that gives off that vibe. Even if you did, why is that your business to be commenting on it or talking about it? You know, in actual fact, she pays for everything herself, and you know, her partner pays for everything that he has himself, you know, and whatever. And ins and outs of their financial relationship is no one's business. But
Who are you to question?
why
exactly.
are you?
It was
you
a
know, why
big
is that a
stress.
judgment?
It was a big stress for me because I really didn't want everything I had been building from when I had my individuality and my vision of self. I didn't want it to be associated with someone else, and I found that really tough because I also wanted to share that I was happy and make it normal that I'm happy. It didn't need to be like, this is my partner, this is this. I didn't want to be out there with it, but I wanted to be like, oh, haha, we're out for dinner. Like, I wanted to just
Casual.
normalize what I am, but I hid it to a degree that I was very unhealthy for me. I hid it
Because you felt you'd be judged.
yeah,
if you
but I
did
was
have it.
told I would be
Yeah.
judged. I was told that if I was seen on the back of his bike,
Yeah.
it would mean that I wouldn't be able to ride, and all of
And
these
there's
things.
proof that sexism does exist.
Yeah,
Because otherwise you wouldn't need to behave in that way.
it was just exhausting because I also think now to even I'm quite miserly at times. If I'm going to go somewhere and I don't see the point of us both riding. You know, I'm fine to. I came from a pillion background. A lot of women may not like riding pillion, but I don't see it as a problem.
Of course not.
For me, but it's my personal choice. But if we're going to go somewhere together and we don't want to take both the bikes out, then, you know, I should be able to jump on the back. It's not the most comfortable. It's more comfortable on my bike. But sometimes, you know, if you're tired, whatever you want to do, you should be
easier
able to have the choices you want and not be commented on.
Absolutely not.
And vice versa. So the friend I had on, she was like, my partner's a male. He's in the army and he rides pillion on the back of my bike. It doesn't define him.
No.
Yeah. It's just a bike.
Yeah, it's just a bike.
It's just a means of transport at the end of the day.
Literally.
And for some reason, bikes more than many things I've experienced speak a lot about men feel it speaks a lot about their masculinity, and I'm very intrigued on that because they're very sensitive on it. There's a group, I'm not going to say everyone, but there is a group of people, if that applies to them or not, that are very sensitive on how their bike, their CC of their bike, their ability to wheelie and, you know, donut and whatever speaks on their masculinity.
But again, that's ego, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's where the ego comes into it. And that's, if you ride with your ego, if you're riding, you know, for your ego or whatever, if ego comes into it in any way, then
it's dangerous.
You end up being dangerous. It breeds
dangerous,
you know,
and
very
toxic.
toxic environment. You know, that's when you become potentially quite reckless, I guess, you know, sort of riding where you usually when you've got something to prove.
The amount of times that you see men trying to show off because there's a few girls and they do this stupid things, and you think like that's not worth it. Like we're not impressed. What are you trying to impress? Who are you trying to show off to?
We've all got a bike, you know, so you can rev it to the limit.
You know,
wow, amazing.
Mind you, we rev our bikes.
I know, we do, but
you do it for fun.
Yeah, we do.
You do it to see how loud it is,
Yeah.
not because you're calling
Oh,
for
not being
attention.
reckless. Yeah. But definitely I feel like men do feel defined by their bikes, and you know, any threat from God forbid someone without a penis can threaten your riding ability or that you have a cool bike. God forbid.
I mean, there's amazing men. I mean, Sean is amazing in himself from people like that. And I mean, he gets a lot of grief from what I saw the comments of the other day just for having fun.
Yeah.
And that there's a group that I would love to like direct myself towards, and it's not a group, I mean people that I'd like to direct myself towards that speak of their individuality, their journey, their passion, their drive, and why they do what they do, and that's all it is. It's really good that Sean set up something, and you know, if I had known about Slow Boys, and I kind of did, but I was just unsure of what I knew, and that's kind of why I wanted to do today's pod. But I'm gonna have to wrap it up now because I feel like I could have talked for ages. But it's for people like myself or new riders, or even people that are alone riding, to know that just because when you're part of a group, that doesn't define you. You shouldn't be strongholded into that group. You shouldn't. It shouldn't limit you from being friends with someone else. Just because someone's experience of something is one way doesn't mean yours will be the same.
Shouldn't negatively impact your mental health and the way you do things and your confidence on a bike.
No. Yes. and at the end of the day, if you have a group of friends or if you have a particular bike group that you hang out with, it should be a group that encourages you and supports you and helps you grow on your own journey.
That's the purpose of the group.
And that is it.
Nothing
at the end
more.
of the day, if they don't do that for you, whether
they do the opposite, it's pointless.
If they do the opposite, or if they make you feel intimidated, or that you know you're not worthy enough, or whatever. Again, whether it's just a group of people that you're hanging out with, or whether it's you know an actual group with a logo and a brand and whatever, if they're not helping you or complimenting your bike journey, then it's not right for you.
Yeah, it shouldn't be alienating, isolating in any way.
No.
A group is, from what I've learned, a group is for you to learn to be a better person on a bike and to progress and to expand your awareness of
your awareness,
people out
expand
there.
your community
and your knowledge.
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun. It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
Not political.
Exactly.
Not anything more to it.
Exactly.
So if people wanted to, just to wrap it up, if they wanted to reach out to either of you, what's the best way to do that, or even to get involved with Slow Boys, or you know, learn more? What would you say is the best way?
I mean, probably via our Instagram platforms, I'd say.
The website?
there is a Slow Boys website where all the information about how it started, information about Slow Boys Rescue, the charity initiative.
Yeah.
It's all up there. Web shop is up there. There's non-members forms. If you're not part of the community, you can fill that out. And there's also an induction that ideally you will read because it sort of states a couple more of our sort of more particular rules. But other than that, it's definitely via the social media account.
And your personal Instagram is?
And my personal Instagram is Duke of Blonde, and the Slow Boys one is original.slowboys.
Fabulous.
Mine is Ruby Rides on Instagram and rubyrides.co.uk.
Launching. Now, I'll make sure that's all in the bios and everything like that. But thank you guys so much.
Thank you
for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I've actually learned so much, and I feel a lot more confident even just speaking to you guys. So,
good.
Yeah,
that was the goal. Yeah,
that's the goal. And I'm so grateful to be able to share this with other people. So
thank you
again, everybody. Like, share, subscribe, and if you haven't already, check out all the other videos that we'll be uploading. We are going to aim to do this weekly, if not fortnightly, and I hope to provide some amazing people on here and some amazing stories. And if you've got any questions, anything you want to ask, or people you want to see, comment, let me know, drop us an inbox. We're all here to build community and help each other out. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
And
Thank you again.
till the next one. Bye.
Bye.